Ebony what? Transforming lives for life. So we are looking at cash flow. Cash flow means different thing to different classes of people. We have the poor, we have the middle class, and we have the rich. All of them approach cash flow differently. Okay? However, using the cash flow quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, there are five terminologies that are important for us. Five. Number one is income. Number two, expense. Number three, asset. Number four, liability. And then number five, cash flow. Cash flow is, the other four are like boxes. Cash flow is what links all of them together. And that cash flow is what tells the story of what is really happening in any or all of these boxes. Cash flow. So the first thing is income. And the idea is always to grow income. Yeah. You always want your income to go up and up and up. Next of all, of course, is expenses. And the idea is to bring down your expenses. Suppress your expenses. Contain your expenses. As your income is growing, you want your expenses to be going down relatively. If, for instance, my income increases by 100%, I'll probably increase my expenses by 25%. So on a relative basis, my expense is going down, my income is rising. We are not saying because as your income is going up, then your expense goes down in absolute terms. No, it's relative. If, for instance, previously my income was 100 naira and my expense was 90 naira, then when my income goes to 200 naira, I cap my expense at 100. So previously, my expense was 90% of my income, but now my expense is only 50% of my income. Yeah, so that's what we mean by that. Then the next, of course, is assets. Asset. Again, the idea is for your asset to grow and your liability to diminish. You want to push down your liability while you grow your asset. But the challenge we have is many of us we are unable to distinguish between asset and liability. Many of us are accumulating liability and we are calling it asset. Traditionally, we think our houses are assets, we think our television is asset, we think our car is asset. We just have a lot of things that are totally redundant and we call them assets. The clothes in our boxes, in our wardrobe, we call them assets. Our shoes, we call them assets. So we think those things are assets. Now, the acid test that Robert Kiyosaki has given us, read that, pour that, is simply that anything that puts money in your pocket is an asset. And anything that takes money away from your pocket is a liability. So anything that you have that continue to put money in your pocket is an asset. And I would say that it's not that it takes out money. If it does not put money in your pocket, it's not an asset. So if it is static, it's not taking money out, it's not putting money, it's dead capital, so it's a liability. Who wants a dead capital? So any property you have that does not put money in your pocket is a liability. Any property that you have that cannot become part of the instrument of generating income for you is straight away a liability. Okay? So the idea is to grow your asset and diminish your liability. Now, when we generate income can be generated from various sources. But we are talking about your personal effort right now. That's income. Anything that does not come as a result of your personal effort is not an income, it's a gift. So income can come in as salary. At that point, you are an employee. So you earn a salary. So that's a way to generate income. And there are super employees these days, people that are paid in the millions on a monthly basis, millions. They are billionaire employees, by the way. They are employees, but they are billionaires. So, yes, you can become rich in any of the quadrants. The next quadrant is the self-employed or the small business owner. So the self-employed usually think that they are entrepreneurs. The self-employed is just a hustler because he has not been able to build leverage. He exchanges his time for money. If he wants more money, just put in a lot more effort, a lot more time. They are the ones that will talk about their charge out rate. And among those are professionals, the lawyers, the accountants, the doctors. That's where they all belong. But these people usually are highly trained, highly educated. So they are rugged individuals. They can stand on their own. They are in charge, but they are just still hustling. And a lot of us who are professionals fall there. As an accountant, I have my own accounting firm. I'm an auditor. I do this, I do that. You are self-employed. You are still an employee. That's why we say self-employed. So you are still an employee. It said that you are the one employing yourself. You have not achieved leverage. Then the next box is the big business owner. The big business owner, these are the people that create systems. They build systems. They build systems. When they build systems, they co-opt people. They get people into their system. So they're able to now achieve leverage because they're able to buy other people's time, other people's effort, other people's knowledge, and they just put them in there. Of course, they pay them to get them in. But you can be rest assured that, hey, they pay less than what those people contribute. That's the leverage. Then the next box is the investor. The investor box. This is where you buy into a system. You don't go through the trouble of creating the system or building the system. You look for a good system and then you buy into it and let it just work for you. So at this point, you are making your money make money for you. This is where the rich, the super rich, the ultra rich, this is where they play. So to achieve leverage, you must move from what I call the left to the right. On the left, you have employee and self-employed. On the right, you have the business owner and the investor. There's a chasm that separates left from right. That movement from left to right can take years. Many never make it. Many can move from employee to self-employed and then they remain there. And they are happy, they are contented. But they work until they die. That's what it's true. They labor. But they are paid according to the time they are available. They have a shop. If you close the shop, nobody pays them. You have a clinic. If you close the clinic, nobody pays them. You have a chamber. If you go on holiday, nobody pays you. So, but on the right, where you have the big business owner and the investor, that is where you have pleasures forevermore. Yes, you have pleasures forevermore. Because here you achieve the ultimate leverage. You have a pool of people, a pool of machines, a pool of resources, just working day and night. So when you sleep, your business does not sleep. So these are the people who, while they are sleeping, they are still making money, unlike the employee and the self-employed. Okay? Now, the cash flow of the poor is different from the cash flow of the middle class and is different from the cash flow of the rich. That is why I talked about relativity just now, that I can increase my income and decrease my expenses. But I'm decreasing my expenses not in absolute terms, but in relative terms. If I've built my house and I get a promotion, I don't change my house because I got a promotion. So my income goes up, but my living expenses, my accommodation remains static. So relatively, my accommodation has gone down relative to my income. Okay? But the poor, this is their cash flow pattern. The poor, as their income increases, their expenses also increases. For the poor, more than 70% of their income goes towards expenses. Expenses of feeding, expenses of shelter, expenses of health, expenses of education for their children, expenses for, just the routine of daily survival. They require more than 70%, 75% of their income to service that. It's just automatic poverty. I just said 75%, but usually it's 100%. And in fact, it's even sometimes 110% because they now begin to live on borrowed money. They spend money they don't have. That's the poor. More than 75% of their income goes into expenses that are recurring again and again and again. They have nothing left over for building assets. If they didn't see left over, they probably use to service liabilities because they are already owing, they're in debt already. 25% they use to service debt, and they also create more debt. So increasing outflow with a decreasing inflow will result in a very heavy downfall. You are increasing your expenses, your income is going down, you are primed for heavy downfall. So if you find yourself in that situation, stop digging the hole. Stop. Walk down quickly your expenses. Grow small, grow small, grow small. There's nothing wrong. Sometimes we may even have to change our residence. And we have to grow from 3-bedroom apartment to 2-bedroom apartment to 1-bedroom apartment, as the case may be. So, if you see yourself in that situation, arrest it quickly so that you can turn the table around. Ebony World, transforming lives for life. Yes. So, I've just talked about the cash flow of the poor. The cash flow of the poor. The poor spend more than 75% of their income on expenses, on just daily survival expenses, food, shelter, light, water, school fees, health. At the end of the month, there is nothing left. They are on autopilot to just remain permanently poor. Then, pathetically too, the middle class. More than 75% of the income of the middle class goes to service liabilities. What are liabilities? They are benefits that you have enjoyed or that you are enjoying for the which you must settle. In other words, you have enjoyed the benefit before even earning the income. You have spent money that you have not earned. That's liability. For instance, I can buy a car on a hire purchase, on a lease, and I'm riding a big car, but that car every month, it's a drain on my income. But it's a debt for the luxury I'm enjoying. You go and subscribe to DSTV, the highest package, premium, all because you want to enjoy the frills of life. You go to get a big accommodation mortgage for those in a mortgage society, but here we don't have. It's outright rent, so I can't live in Ikorodu. I'd rather go and live in Lekki Phase 1. I'd rather go and live in VI. You are struggling to just make ends meet. So at the end of the day, you are earning $1 million a month, and more than $1 million goes to service your lifestyle. So they are lifestyle poor. The middle class are lifestyle poor. And more often than not, if any shocks hit them, they drop from middle class to poor, to the class of the poor. They are just one step away from broke. That's the middle class. They tend naturally towards broke than rich. They are never having anything extra. They are just barely breaking even, but they want to present themselves. They live like they're rich, and that is their bane. So that's the middle class. They spend more than 95% of their income to service liability, and from liability, all that money goes into expense. Yes, it disappears straight away. So by the time they finish paying for the car that they are riding, and it's now their own, it's a very old car, it's useless, it has lost more than 90% of its value. And then we now go to the cash flow of the rich. And this is what we must learn. Being rich is the cash flow, is not the absolute amount you are holding. For the rich, once income comes, more than 75% of their income is pushed into assets. And what are assets? Assets are anything that puts money in your pocket. We keep on saying that. You can buy shares, buy stock. They can buy real estate. You can buy investments that periodically generates more money. So what do? They keep on just pushing income into assets. They pile it high and deep. PhD. Pile it high and deep. They deepen it. More than 75% of their income goes there. And then they now use the remaining 25% to try to turn their liabilities into assets. Things that even take money away from them, they re-engineer to ensure that it begins to return money into their pockets. You may not understand that. Like I said, a car is a liability. So what does it do? He just puts it into Uber, and they get a driver. And idle time, the car is running and generating money. Or a part of his house, he puts it on rent. So the house also begins to generate money. So that's turning your liability into an asset. Or you have rented a big place, maybe it's a warehouse, and then you break it down. Break down the warehouse and then let out some part of it. And so you might even end up renting using your own space for free, because the other co-tenants are the one paying for the entire complex. And then you still have a little change left with you. So that's how you turn your liability to an asset. For instance, a mortgage is a liability. A mortgage is a liability because every month you have to pay the bank the mortgage. So what do? Rent out the property and let some other people pay the mortgage. And as they pay their rent, it services the mortgage, and then there's a little left over, it becomes your own positive cash flow. So that way you can turn your liability into asset. And then on relative terms, the rich spend less than 10% of their income on expenses. Less than 10%. Even their holidays, somebody else pays for them. So this is the cash flow of the rich. And if you want to become a millionaire, you want to become rich, you must spend like a millionaire. By ensuring that 75% or more of your income, you push it into asset creation. If you're going to do that, you're already rich. Because being rich or being poor is not in absolute terms. It is a habit. It's what you do. Like I posted this morning, success is a habit. Failure too is a habit. Rich is a habit. Poor is a habit. It's not in monetary terms. You can have 100 million and yet you are a poor person. So by the time your liabilities are cleared, there's nothing left for you. So you want to become a millionaire? Begin today to spend like a millionaire. Ensure that not less than 75% of your income is directed towards building your asset base. So that is cash flow. So the singular most important message to every entrepreneur is what? Control your cash flow. Because cash flow is king. Cash in itself is trash, but cash flow is king. So you must control your cash flow. You must be in charge of your cash flow. You must direct your cash flow. The poor have no control at all over their cash flow because they are still grappling with existential necessities of life. And whoever controls the flow controls the king. Whoever controls the flow of the cash controls the king, both euphemistically and practically. Unwavering focus and emphasis on positive cash flow is therefore a sine qua non, is given. You can't negotiate that. You must focus on cash flow. Build assets and reduce liabilities, and then convert your liabilities into assets.